My name's Ethan Moore. I'm a Jesus Christ fan.
And I'm Pastor Dwayne Black, and so am I.
All right. Now, Pastor, I told you we were going to talk about love today.
Right.
And then you said that you just got a massage. That's not the kind of love I was talking about.
I said that to you off the
air, That's
man.
Between you and your clergy member and your wife.
It wasn't.
And your masseuse.
It was. I'll tell you, it really was. I get a massage probably 3 times a year, and man, I sit and I tell them right off the bat, I'm going to moan. Just get ready. I'm going to moan. Because it feels so good.
Yeah, I don't think you should be talking about this on here. I think that's... No,
it does.
What were you telling me about all the pastors that have gotten into scandals?
Trouble doing that? Yeah. They're
it all starts with a massage.
The major churches around here, every one of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Too much love.
Too much love. Way too much.
Well, I told you I had this topic of love.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about sexual love. Well, we're not talking about that. That's always included, I guess. I mean, I can always talk about sex, you know. But the way this came up was as we set up last week on this on the podcast, we said that so Newsgirl Maymay on my other podcast, Sex on Kava,
right,
which you can check out at sexonkava.com if you want to listen. On the season 2 premiere, which by the time this airs will be a couple weeks ago, she confessed a couple things. One is that she's a virgin.
Okay.
Which we did not know.
How old is she?
Mid-20s.
Okay.
She's 25, I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And the other thing, though, is that she actually doesn't believe in love. And then we said, no, well, okay, you haven't been in love, you know, in romantic love before.
Right.
But surely, you know, you could love a puppy, or haven't you experienced that, or what about the love? You know, don't you love your parents?
Right, something.
She said no, I've never loved an animal, and I don't love my family members either. You
know, there's got to be a lot of stuff back there.
There's definitely some stuff, and she said that she thinks that love is just a it's a conditioned response, and it's just, you can break it down to the release of, you know, oxytocin and certain endorphins and things in the brain, and all these sorts of, you know, she has this very reductionistic approach to
that's going to be one love. Sad life, you know. I mean, the idea of not believing in love. So where's that going to take her? What's going to happen? I mean, she needs a counselor.
Well.
So did you guys counsel her while
I offered to make out with her.
Really? And she said no?
Yeah, she was disgusted.
Oh, you did make out with her?
No, I mean, I was kidding, but you know...
Wait, no, I thought that's what you're saying. I wasn't being funny.
I said, do you want to make out? You know, like I can... But I told her that I wouldn't really do, like, stuff with her, because that would... You know, if we have a sort of a collegial relationship,
right? And
also, you know, I just feel like it would be bad for her.
And what happens if you started to kiss her and she started to feel something, but you didn't feel anything?
I definitely don't want to be her first.
Right.
You know. She is very cute, but I think she's great. You know, I like
all the other
Maymay.
Men would have to live up to your first. That's unbelievable.
Ooh, I like that actually. You know what, Maymay, if you're listening, it's back on. That's right. I want to be the standard. I want to be the yardstick used to measure all other men. No,
but she really doesn't believe in love.
She said she doesn't believe in love, and it's you know what was amazing was we had everyone else on the podcast. We have a junior producer, Jackie. We had our guest, Paul Jumeos. We had Rich as David Bowie, and Tara, the stewardess. We had all these people, all these characters we have on the podcast who showed up that day, and they were all taking turns trying to convince her
that love
exists. Yeah. You know, you just haven't experienced it yet, and all this sort of thing, and it was just like, wow, I don't know. And to me, it was, I was experiencing this moment of just like sort of real like frustration.
Right.
You know, because it's like, I wanted to say, you can't just explain things away like that.
Right.
You can say, oh, it's just a release of oxytocin and serotonin and endorphins in the brain.
No.
But that's just an explanation of, that's that explains like some of the physiological response.
Right.
It doesn't cancel out the sort of spiritual dimension of love.
Right. No, and I do. I believe that love is spiritual. I think that, first I think the word love gets overused. I mean, it's like, I say I love my wife, but I also say I love tacos. I mean, it's and until you get into some of the other, like Hebrew, they have 3 words for love. They have ahava, raya, and dod.
Which one of those means tacos? I'm sorry, I spaced out when you said tacos. I'm really hungry now.
Yeah, is that it? Actually, it's fish tacos. I was actually thinking about. I love fish tacos.
Is that a sex joke?
No, it's not a sex joke. It's
Pastor. There's children listening.
I went to California and had fish tacos. It was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible.
It's like I was getting a massage and there was fish tacos. It was strange.
No. So it's ahava, raya, and dod. So each one of them means it's
those are that's the 6th, 7th, and 8th Marx brother.
It's each one's like a different flame. That love is like that when you first meet somebody that you like and you think this person's really great. You first meet them and you really kind of like, this is a great person.
Right.
That's like the first flame. It's like and then you develop it into like, this is
what's that one?
Ahava.
Ahava. That's how I feel about. I was talking about Anna.
Right, Anna would be ahava.
Anna Lepoli, my soon to be my touring partner.
Right. Well, she may even go into raya.
What's raya?
It's like the spiritual connection between you that you say this. I want to be with this person more than anyone else at this.
Oh, definitely, I feel that way about Anna. Yeah.
Because you seem to say that. So ahava and raya, but the third one is dod, and dod has more of it's more connected to a rocking motion, if you know what I mean.
Is it about sex?
Yeah.
Dode. High five, bro.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, that one is not. That's not.
So yeah,
I won't experience that with Anna because we don't.
No, you won't.
She's not wired that way. She's a lesbian.
Right.
And I'm wired to not have sex with people that are gay.
Gay.
Really, if you're gay, it's not going to work out. If you're a dude or a woman with me,
it's not going to work.
But because I want the person I'm having sex with to be
into you,
to be interested in sex with me.
But do you want them to? Do you feel it's important to have more than just a physical relationship? Honestly, really, I see you.
Do I feel it's important to? Well, of course. I mean, I want to have more than just physical relationships in my life.
Right.
But I don't think it's important necessarily to have more than a physical relationship with everyone.
Say that one more time.
Well, I mean, there's some people you could just have a physical relationship with.
So it's a bit of a shallow relationship. It's just sexual. It's just that's all there is to it. Or is that okay? Is that
sometimes?
I shouldn't say the word shallow. That was not.
I don't want to say that it's. I don't want to say that it's explicitly not okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I guess I would say that I don't want a lot of that.
Okay.
I think from time to time it happens, and I don't feel bad about it.
But you're kind of one of these people that really you think through a lot of stuff.
Right.
You analyze things. You reflect. I can't see you being with a woman who doesn't get involved with the idea of reflection and thinking and and processing and talking and communicating. I mean, I have to vibe with the person on more than just a physical level. So usually, you're right. No, you're right. You're probably right. I'm always going to kind of connect on a different level too. I would bet you almost unplug if you don't feel like there's a connection there.
I'd like to be able to just have the physical relationships, like a lot of them. That would be great. I wish there was a way to do that. No, I think, it's happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Where it's just a sort of a one night stand situation, and I'm like, it's fine. But I wouldn't want to do. I think if you go out and do that every week, or every day or whatever, or let's put it this way, as often as you can,
right?
Then I think that probably doesn't lead you into a good place spiritually.
Probably
because you're just having all these shallow connections and nothing ever goes any further.
Right.
And you start to look at sex and your own sexuality probably in a way where it seems like it it almost has to be shallow. You practice being shallow with it.
It becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit, and then that becomes your character, after a while, and it's not
And
not
it
good.
becomes an addiction. I mean, I think you make choices bring on habits, and habits bring on addictions, and you become addicted to. I mean, we talked about this before, the idea that like Desmond Tutu is addicted to joy. He's addicted to it because he practices it. He looks for it. If you look for, shallow relationships, you'll probably find them.
Yeah. Well, you don't really have to practice being addicted. It just kind of happens.
That happens? Is that
it finds you.
It finds you.
It's your destiny. It finds you.
So, but do you believe in love?
I definitely believe in love. I think that, and that's the thing. It's funny. The reason that it made me so, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it made me want to stand up and like grab her by the lapels and tell her like, no, you're wrong. You can't. I can't believe you're saying these things. They're so wrong. Because I feel the exact opposite, like literally the opposite. Maymay said, "Oh, I don't believe love is real," and I think that literally love is the only thing that's real.
Yeah.
I don't believe in anything else except love. That's true. Like that's really how I feel about things, about the world. Because I think that I've talked about this probably a month or two ago on this podcast. That I think that the realest thing in the world, the only thing that sort of we can be sure is real, or that I can be sure is real through my experiences, is the connection between people relationships with other people. And to me, those relationships are and should be constituted by love.
Right. Yes. I agree.
So, I'm living up to my potential as a human being. I'm being as real as I can when those relationships are constituted by love in my life. If I let them slip into something that's not love, then I'm not fulfilling my being properly.
Right. That's beautiful. I mean,
which is a kind of, which to me is almost a kind of psychosis. That's the other thing too. It's actually insane it's a break with reality for me to say that I'm not going to live my life according to that principle of connection. That I'm going to live my life. Like if I say, no, I should just try to get what's mine and just be selfish.
Right.
Or or this person, I need to have revenge on this person. Or if I go in a different direction than love in a relationship in my life, then it's like saying, first of all, it creates a kind of illusion of control. It's an illusion. Like you don't really have enough control to try to do those things, and it's a denial of the only thing that's really real.
Right, and it also takes into this whole idea of redemptive violence. There seems to be this kind of idea, that escalates. That if you hurt me, then I hurt you, and if you, then you hurt me, then I hurt, and it keeps going back. Like there's going to be a moment that we stop, so that we know that going that direction is not the best direction. We know that going towards the idea that love is the way to go. That there is this connection between people when they start to even start talking about love and what that looks like.
Well, I think maybe revenge or vendetta or that back and forth of hurt and be hurt, that cycle.
It's pong back and forth.
Pong, yeah. The pong of pain that you're describing. I think that's maybe the message of someone like Jesus or someone like the Buddha or other religious figures is the idea of denying the natural instinct to go ahead and take revenge,
right,
and to stop that cycle.
Yeah, I absolutely
right. Because the thing about that cycle is that it's very like, okay, well, like it makes sense. You'd be like, oh well, I need to punish this person. And it goes back definitely to like very old societies and tribes and things like that, where it's like, oh well, this person abducted our daughter. We need to take one from them. Actually, let's take two to make sure they don't do it again. Yeah. And maybe that's a survival strategy for a while.
And then they come back and say, well, let's just burn down the village.
And then you end up with no villages in the Bronze Age collapse and things like that. Bad things happen to the entire society or the entire system of societies.
It does.
And so it's not. So individually, it feels good. It's gratifying to do it. And maybe it's gratifying for the group, but as far as our larger situation within the cosmos and on this planet and trying to maybe work together to eventually get off this planet and explore the galaxy together, which we could, if we don't destroy the planet first, then those kinds of vendettas and revenge fantasies are against, or
right.
They're baggage. They're millstones around our neck.
We have sometime in the middle of May, we're going to have a conference here referring to alternatives to the death penalty, and they talk,
like torture.
No, no, it's the idea that the idea of prison doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It continues to not work, and we have to do some things about it. So it's people coming together saying that if we're going
to... Wait, so instead of the death penalty, we let them out?
Well,
not only prison. You're like, I'm anti-death penalty, also anti-prison. What do you do? You give them you write them a strongly worded letter?
No, but prisons don't do anything except they don't rehabilitate. They don't help fix people. They don't. All you do is put them away, and they learn a little bit more about how to do something. And they're already dysfunctional, and that's why they're there. And so, if we don't do something, if we don't try to help, you start to talk to people that are in jail and in prison, especially people that have killed somebody, and you talk to them. Their life was horrible. It was. If you don't believe in hell, let me introduce you to a few people that lived in hell and developed into thinking that it was okay to do this. So you go with the idea that, and other countries are doing it. We're not very, very good about this. I'd still like to see everybody who's in prison vote, because I think it would change.
I think there's one or two states where they can.
Is it really?
There's a couple states where you're allowed to vote when you're in prison.
I wonder where that is. What states those are?
Probably somewhere in the loopy liberal northeast. It's like where Bernie Sanders is from, or something, Vermont or something, probably. I think you should be able to vote in prison, of course.
Yeah, and if you had a felony, they still keep you so that you can't vote. And that's not right either.
No, it's not. It's weird. Yeah. It's actually kind of weird that you would think that you can... I think it's strange that you would lose things like your civil rights.
Yeah.
When there's sort of... what are you trying to say about this person? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you saying that they're not a part of the society? Are we excluding them? And
Good questions. Good questions.
I remember one of the most fascinating things I read when I was in college was Michel Foucault wrote this book called To Discipline and to Punish.
Right.
And he talked about how the birth of the prison, and how the originally there would be all these... When you would punish someone,
right,
when they would do something, it was an offense against the sovereign, against the king. So you'd have these public torture spectacles and executions, and a lot of times they would turn into riots because people's passions would be inflamed, and then they would be like, "Oh, this riot's no good for social order."
No.
And so slowly, that at the same time, it was almost like you had, in 200 or 300 years ago, you had kind of these beginnings of science and an approach towards kind of humanitarian ideals,
right, exactly,
saying, "Oh, well, maybe we can reform these people and we can rehabilitate them." And so they started to take people and put them into prisons. And at the same time, it served the interests of the state, because they could say, well, we're no longer going to have these public spectacles. These people will be punished, but it'll be behind closed doors. We'll remove them from society. And then also, sure, we'll rehabilitate them. That sounds good,
yeah,
Mr.
Right.
Scientist guy. And so these two influences kind of colluded, and you end up with a modern prison, which, if you think about what it's really all about, it's hidden away.
Right.
There's a sort of gloss of humanitarian idealism on top of it, saying, "Oh, yeah, we're going to educate them," and all that sort of thing. And the state's power is increased by the fact that it's hidden away.
Right.
In other words, if you do something against our society, maybe you use drugs, for example.
Right. Yeah.
We'll just take you out. You won't be a part of that society anymore. We'll exclude you, and you won't get to participate. And that's a stronger method of control than putting them in front of everyone and saying, "This guy did wrong." Because if you do that, if you put them put them on TV or something, and you say, "This guy did wrong," yes, it turns into a spectacle.
It does.
And you
yes.
have the other side. There are people who are like, "This guy was unfairly punished. We shouldn't be doing this."
Yeah.
So
I think that's a very good point. That's really great.
It's not my point. It's Foucault's point, I guess. But
very good.
Mr. Foucault, wherever you are, hanging out there with David Bowie.
Yeah, but could you imagine seeing, the people who are running for president right now having to go into prisons and solicit the vote of prisoners in a prison?
Yeah, I like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it would change everything. It's, because there is a tendency to think, that there is a group,
especially because there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
We imprison more people than almost any country. Maybe any country, maybe.
Right.
I think I should know the statistics, but it's really high.
Well,
so that would be a big constituency.
Yes, it would be. Yeah. And what would they be selling to them? You know, we're going to redo the prisons. You know,
free cigarettes.
Yeah.
Let's see, better chow.
Yeah, it could be
stuff like that. I think that's what it would be. Stuff like that.
But I think when we do this conference, I think you should come.
A free file, a file in every cake.
That's. I think you should come to the conference when we get ready to do it. It should be a lot of fun.
I'm interested.
Sister Helen Prejean, she's one.
Oh yeah, I saw her in that movie with Sean Penn.
Yep. She was Dead Man Walking.
Susan Sarandon played her.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
It was.
I always felt like that movie sort of had it didn't really go anywhere though. You know, like you're sort of watching this and you're like, so then let's see, is it some Nazi stuff? And it's like, well, this is worse.
No.
And then he's like, you find out
Did you fall asleep during this movie or what?
No, you find out that Sean Penn, it's like he's a bad guy, and then it turns out he's even a worse guy.
Right.
And then they're like, yeah, we're going to get him out of prison. And then they're like, nah, he just dies.
It's dealing with forgiveness and because they find that most times when they put these people to death, the people that they have harmed get nothing from them being put to death.
Right.
That it's just at that point it's just one evil act over another evil act, you know. So, but back to your love.
Back to love.
Yeah.
From the death penalty to love.
So this girl has so much baggage.
Maymay.
She's got a lot of stuff going on in her life. Did she ever tell you anything about her history? Because somebody who goes, no, I don't love my parents. Man, that's a place to start.
Well, she also would say on it was a running joke for the entire first season where she would talk about how she wanted to cut off Johnson's. In other words, the male appendage.
This is a scary woman.
And she said that was the solution to, like, you know, societal problems.
So
that, what does that tell you?
Did you ask her to be on the podcast?
Oh yeah.
You weren't afraid?
Well, she didn't mention this until like her third week, and by then she was
Bobbitt type style.
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah.
Well, she told me that she said it was because you know, Ethan and Rich, we go, you know, me and my co-host Rich Kennedy, we go on and we, in some of the stories we cover are like, you know, that we make these jokes where we're like, oh yeah, like about how like it'd be like a woman is in the story and then it's like something about, you know, her man, and be like, oh well, maybe she should have made him another sandwich or something, like, you know, we make these jokes like that, like it's like sort of cheesy, jokey kind of chauvinism.
Yeah, I thought you didn't do female jokes.
That was on the last podcast. I'll say anything for a laugh on the podcast.
On the podcast, yeah.
And she was like, oh, this, you know, she wanted to bring this female perspective,
right?
And she kind of went really extreme with it, you know, like she's like, oh, you just cut off everyone's penis, and that was, it's funny. It was actually sort of funny, but every guest that was ever on would always be against it. You know, of course, as you can imagine, it's female guest, male guest, it didn't matter. Everyone's like, you're crazy. This is an insane like proposal. And I would always sort of joke, it is like it's a modest proposal. It's it's Swiftian. Maymay's wit. Maymay, your wit is Swiftian.
So she really has. Was she just doing that just because you guys were?
Well, you know, it's interesting that she chose that as the corrective measure, you know, for our chauvinistic jokes. She's like, I'm going to make jokes about, you know, chopping off the Johnson, and so then I'm like, wow, she's never been in love. You know, she has this feeling like there is no love in the world. You know, she wants to cut off the penises.
So she's never had any love at all.
Yeah,
man, so she's angry.
Maymay has a lot of anger, and she has this like sort of bubbly, friendly exterior.
Right.
But you dig down at any level, and it's really dark inside.
So there's got to be some trust issues and all sorts
she said
of
that
stuff.
before. She's like, oh, I can't trust people anyway. Right. So I can't imagine trusting someone enough to have sex.
Where has she gotten burned? I mean, she's got some wounds on her.
She really does, and I'd like to dig down. I'd like to figure out what it is, and I'd like to help her. Here's the other thing too. I think she's she's a Christian, you know, and so I'm like, I wanted to ask her, you know, maybe this is a good way to sort of bring us to the end of this episode. I wanted to ask her, and I will ask her, if you don't believe in love, how can you believe in God?
Believe in God? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is God? You know, is God love?
Yeah, and God didn't make you so that you carry around all this stuff. I mean, you're not even made for it. Your body, everything goes wrong when you start carrying around stuff like that.
Right.
Show all sorts of issues, physical issues and spiritual issues and things. You can say I'm a Christian, but the issue is are you really following?
Wow.
That's
I feel like this is turning into an indictment.
No, it's
because you're like
it's you want.
And
to
also,
help
you're
the
only
person.
getting my perspective.
So we invite her in someday.
We should definitely have Maymay on the podcast.
Okay, that'd be great, man.
That would be interesting.
That would be because we could talk about love.
We could talk about love. Yeah.
That'd be good. We should do like 3 podcasts of talking about love, what love's about.
We could have a love trilogy, a love triangle, if you will.
You could have,
That's right.
Bring in one of the pastors that got caught in the wrong place and talk to them about love. That'd be interesting too.
Yeah, I like that. He got his.
Won't use his real name.
Okay.
And it's always him too.
There's no females that are
I haven't seen or heard of a female getting
sinning.
No, not well. I mean, sure, but I mean, not having a relationship with somebody else while they're married.
That's never happened ever.
I haven't heard it. I just don't know it.
Oh, just female pastors.
Yeah, female pastors. Male pastors, we got a bunch of them. That's I guess. What they said that being powerful is the biggest.
That was what's his name?
Aphrodisiac.
That's Nixon's sidekick there.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was
Halderman.
No, the guy from Austria.
Oh, yes.
Power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. What's his name? Kissinger. That was Kissinger.
Yeah.
He said that. Power.
There were 10 people yelling right now.
He said it to supposedly to Chairman Mao. Power is the ultimate aphrodisiac.
That's a very good accent.
That's
good.
not a.
That was good.
We're gonna have Kissinger on the podcast to talk about love.
That's right. We can.
That's
so, Mr.
right.
Kissinger, what do you think about love?
I definitely believe in love. I had love for the Vietnamese even when we were dropping those bombs. My love never waned.
Horrible.
So ladies and gentlemen, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I don't know, Maymay. I told Maymay, I said, Maymay, I love you.
Right? What'd she say?
She's like, I tolerate you.
I tolerate you.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to meet this woman. I just can't. That's so great.
Yeah. So I mean, I get it. I get it. It's easy for me to. It's sort of. It's not something I want to be like, hey, you're wrong.
Right.
Because I understand where she's coming from.
Right.
She's coming from that kind of dark place where we can all get to, where it's like, yeah, it does seem like life is meaningless. It does seem like there's no real ultimate connection with anyone. It does seem like maybe it's hard to really rely on people.
I think, when you get so focused on yourself sometimes, you don't see the connections with other people, because I think that's one of the things I see so much around this place is that, there are always people in need, and when you reach out and try to help them, they reach out and try to help somebody else, and it helps somebody else. Now it just goes on and on and on. And I see it all the time.
That's the reverse of that cycle of vendetta and hurt. It's a cycle of love instead.
It is, and it really is great. I mean, we have 3 or 4 guys that are in recovery right now. That whenever there's extra work or we hear something going on at our job, we try to get them a job. And do they appreciate it? Yes. They're like, this is great. This is
like, I'm going to be able to buy so many drugs with this.
No,
the money I'm getting from this job. Thank you.
No, they're not. They're we've lost a few, but we've held on to most of them, so it's good.
Well, it's all love.
It is, and they help cook for the homeless that we do. All the feedings they help cook for that.
How are the homeless feedings going?
Really good.
I've done some of that.
Yep, we're doing we do about 400 a week. We have a culinary school here that is taking people that are homeless and in shelters and
really.
Yep, and they can within 9 weeks they have a culinary certificate, safe serve certificate, so they can get a job.
Can I do that?
Yep, you can.
Oh my God!
We'll get you taken care of.
That's great. I love cooking.
7, 8, 9 weeks. 9 weeks a week.
And I can cook?
Yeah. And we have a 98% pass ratio, right at this point.
Sounds like the standards are very low. You take a bunch of homeless drug addicts and only 2% of them don't make the grade?
No.
What
are we doing wrong?
I think there should be more people failing. I mean, I'm not saying you want people to fail, but like...
we sit and read the entire book, and they get really down, and then they cook, 3 times in the kitchen, every week. And they feed, 3 times, that's really great. And so they're helping and feeding people that they go, oh yeah, man, I was on the street with him last week,
There you go. No, that's beautiful. Yeah. Maymay, if you're listening, see? There's love in action.
Love in action.
There's nothing wrong with love. Don't be ashamed of love.
Yeah. Our band goes and plays a thing called Love in Action on Friday nights. And they play for music, and they help feed at one of the churches locally here.
There you go.
Meatloaf Church. It's the Meatloaf Church. That's what they call it.
Is that like the singer?
No, not by the dashboard lights. No.
Yeah, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. That's another kind of love.
That's another.
What's the Hebrew word for that one?
Dode.
Oh, that's dode. Yeah. Right, we covered that. Yeah. Well, there's one more thing that Maymay brought up that I actually wanted to mention, and this is just another thing that just kind of frustrated me, which was she was talking about going out and finding a mate.
Really?
And saying, yeah, what she said was, you got to go out there and you got to get your checklist,
right?
And you got to say like, this person is, I need this person to be like this, and this, and this,
right?
And she was interviewing one of our guests, and she was talking about his, his method for that, and I'm just like, wow, this to me, it seems wrong. It seems wrong to go out there and say, I have this list of things that I need another person to fit, and then when I find this person that fits this list, then I'll be happy.
Right.
That seems like a way to be supremely unhappy.
Absolutely.
And no matter what happens, because if you go out there and you have, and the person meets all the specifications, what happens when a day or two goes by and you realize, wait a minute, I'm actually still not happy? Because who's like happy all the time, And then second, of course, is that you just never find that person. You end up no one meets no one passes the job interview that you're conducting, And so it seems like a strange way. And so I said, Maymay, no, that's so wrong. Right. I actually interrupted her in the middle of this interview of someone else. I said, that's just so supremely wrong. It's wrong. You, instead of saying, I'm going to go out there and make sure someone meets my checklist for romantic love, you just go out there, open your heart, and see what happens, and see what the universe brings to you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to me, that sounds like a more Okay, the reason why I like that, and I'll let you jump in here, Pastor, in a second. Sorry, but I'm having all these feelings right now.
Yeah, I can see it.
The reason I like that is because it also leaves open the potential that there's love that I haven't even imagined yet.
Right.
There's something that will be revealed to me tomorrow that I don't even know about today. And I could just say, okay, so you can go and say, okay, well, I've had some negative patterns in my life.
Right.
And when I identify those negative patterns with someone, that's something to work on or maybe something to avoid.
Right, exactly, yes.
But that's very different. You're saying, well, these are things I want to exclude. But this person, then you all of a sudden you meet a person and you have this intense connection with them, and it's like, oh, I haven't even felt anything like this before. If you don't open yourself to that potential,
right, exactly,
then because you're closed off and saying you have this list, then that seems like not a mistake, but a missed opportunity maybe in life.
I had a girl that I knew, and I really actually, she had, last time I talked to her, she had 110 things written down of what she expected that God looked like. 110
just on the looks.
It was like, he's got to be.
Why don't you just have a picture?
Yeah, it was like, he's got to be between 6'4" and 6'5".
1,000 words or something.
He's got to be slim. He's got to be athletic. He's got to, and I mean, it was like all the way through. And you got to the point at the end. It was like, they don't exist. That person isn't out there. He likes puppies, but he's not too feminine.
Well, that person might exist.
Oh.
But here's the thing: what happens when you meet him?
I will bring you that list, and you tell me if that person exists, and then.
I bet you that there if you took it all the people in the world,
right,
there'd be some number greater than one or two. No, I can say maybe there's 10,000, maybe there's 1 million people that fit that, but probably not 1 million. But there's some large number of people.
Right.
But guess what? What happens when you find someone that that meets all those criteria, you end up, it turns out that you actually don't connect with them very well.
Right.
Or something like that, you know?
Well, and part of it was that she really held this up as I don't get involved with you because you aren't this. Is
this how you met your wife?
No.
Who's this woman?
and then part of the issue, well, I mean, she's still single. I mean, she doesn't have relationships with people because she has this mark that she wants. And the problem is that she'll never find that mark. And she won't ever open herself up to, God in her life saying, listen, this is the guy I think you're really going to enjoy.
Well, you know what Jesus said, love your neighbor if they meet the following criteria. Yeah. And then just pages of lists follow.
That's it, exactly.
I remember that. That's in my Bible. It's not in yours.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But yeah, that's really sad. It's one of those things.
I mean, it's sad, but I think, I don't know. It's like one of those things where I want Maymay to, I want her to open herself up to the possibility.
Yeah, because, she's going to have a sad life if she doesn't. I mean, she really will. Not trusting people, thinking everybody's out to get her.
Yeah.
If for some reason she did find somebody who actually would put up with that, what is it going to be?
Some loser.
Yeah. What she will attract is exactly what she's, thinking she will attract. And that is that somebody's just in for, I just want to have sex with you and I'm out of here.
Right.
Because she doesn't want to have a relationship. So, what she's going to do is attract exactly what
But she's excluded that too. So.
Probably so. But, it's a sad.
Some people will thrive on solitude. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to denigrate Maymay's choice too much. But the way that she described it to me was not offensive exactly, but almost like it created almost like a revulsion in me, like a sense of like, this is so wrong, and I have to stand up and say something about it. That's how I felt about it.
But if you said to her, if there was a way tomorrow for you to wake up and trust people and experience love, would you want to have that experience?
Right.
And she may say no. She may say no because there's always the point that I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And
I think she would say no.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance she would say no.
I'm better off over here than getting hurt. And it's like, no, you're really not.
Something that I learned in recovery, which is, I think, connected to this, is one of the things my sponsor told me very early on was he said that people will always disappoint you because people are finite, people are not going to meet your expectations all the time. So in other words, the trick is to go out, and yet knowing that people are going to disappoint you, you still need to have relationships. You want to have relationships.
I'm always surprised by people. I'm surprised when they I am. And usually it's a happy, joyous surprise, Well,
you're a weirdo. But most people... You're a codependent weirdo, Pastor.
No, you have people that you say, like, listen, man, I really need you to go visit this person who's in the hospital. And they do it.
Right.
And then they come back and they said, man, that was really important for me to do that. I really appreciate you, And
well, I think what my sponsor was saying is that people will tend to disappoint you because you're not, you can't really go through without having some expectations. Right. You can't really go through life without setting up expectations. Expectations are a mistake.
Right.
But you almost have to have expectations in terms of people like making commitments to you and things like in other words, you're going to ask someone to make a commitment.
Right.
And then they might not be able to live up to it.
Right.
For example.
Is that okay?
And it's not okay. You're going to say, oh, that hurts a little bit. But guess what? That's part of life. That's part of relationships, is being able to rock and roll through those bumps and to say, well, this person... they disappointed me, but it's not like then therefore I forget about them. I'm gonna move on to the next person who's gonna be perfect and is never gonna disappoint me. That's a fool's errand. So you basically, to love, to trust, is to set yourself up for failure sometimes.
Sure.
No one's perfect.
Right.
And you're never gonna have a perfect relationship.
Right.
And
I mean, my wife's pretty lucky, but that's a whole different thing.
Your wife is lucky because she has you, and you have her, so you're lucky. You have the only perfect relationship in the world.
Yeah.
Except for that massage that we mentioned earlier. But no, I think the alternative is that Maymay seems to have chosen. I mean, according to what she's saying, is she's basically saying, well, I won't tolerate being disappointed.
Right.
So I won't put myself out there. I won't trust. I won't ever trust, and if I never trust, then I can never be disappointed.
And so when you take that off the table, what else comes off the table too?
Well, it's actually relationships.
Yeah.
And actually, here's the thing too, is that it's another kind of insanity, because it's an illusion of control. What Maymay is saying is, I can control my reality,
right?
Because I can just say, well, I won't have any, but actually you can't.
You can't.
Because you can't really, because ultimately you're just gonna you're still gonna be unhappy. You're still gonna be disappointed.
Right.
You can't actually isolate yourself from all relationships. It's like it's literally impossible unless you're one of those what do they call it? Like those hermit guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who up somewhere, and then they have that window.
Right.
But even where the food comes in, but even that window guy with the food, someday he's gonna be late or something. You know, you're not going to get their hermit food.
Hermits. There was
hermit crabs, I think, are on the menu.
No, there was this
the hermitage.
There was this story about this town, and they had a hermit, a guy who lived up in the mountains, and he lived outside town, and he hardly ever came into town. And when the town ran out of money and closed and moved, he moved his location to the next town, just far enough outside that he couldn't be a hermit unless he had a town to be a hermit too.
Ah, right.
You know, so there was a relationship. There was a connection, no matter what. There's
Did
always
they say
a connection.
No man is an island.
And you could say that.
I think that was in the Bible, right?
No.
Come on, Pastor. Pretty sure it was in there
throw
somewhere.
Throw me a bone.
Yeah. Well, so no person can be completely isolated.
No.
I think, and so you gotta. It's an illusion of control to say, I'm just going to separate myself and never trust and never have to, because you end up doing it anyway. It's
somewhere along the line,
Aristotle said we're political animals and social animals, and we are too. I think we are. We can't be without interacting and
I would believe that,
connecting.
Yeah.
And so we are all doomed to disappointment in some way,
Yeah,
and yet. It's not a tragedy. You get up up the next day, and you try again.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is that I learned in recovery about this is you could instead of looking at, here's the things I need to pull out of this relationship. Here's what I need to get out of this person. They need to meet these criteria, and they need to never disappoint me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How about, here's what I'd like to bring into this relationship. Here's what I'm willing to do for this other person. Here's how I can connect.
Right.
So flip the to the other side. Flip the script, as they say.
Yeah, because we do have that tendency to do other people's inventory and not our own.
Right.
You know, I'm so good at taking your inventory, man. But can I turn that like laser sharp, glass over and look at mine and go, I do have some issues here, and I do need to address them.
Instead of saying you've disappointed me in the following ways, you can say, how can I be of service to you so that you stop disappointing me, you mother? No, you can ask what you can bring, instead of what you can get.
And then I meet you in love instead of you let me down, you let me. Well, you know what? There may have been things that came up that were really important to you at that moment. So good, that's okay.
Yeah, that's what you always extend that olive branch to me when I'm late every week on the podcast. So I appreciate that.
Well, you got a lot of things going on, man. You got a lot of stuff happening, and you're a busy guy, and you're funny and you're creative and all those good stuff. Yeah, so
don't stop, keep going.
Yeah,
I do have a lot of things going on actually.
So what's going on?
I'm going to New York this week. Although since this will air in a few weeks. My trip to New York went great.
Good.
And actually next week I'm going to L.A. and San Francisco.
How fun.
Or maybe I'll be there by the time this airs.
I love San Francisco.
Yeah, that's going to be great. You went to a seminary over there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I went to a seminary also there.
Really?
I go in Berkeley.
Berkeley's great.
Yeah. Although I didn't study the ministry.
A friend of mine just did a lecture at Berkeley about a year ago.
So, I'll be over there doing some comedy, and
how fun!
That's going to be fun. And I'm doing this show every week still in Lake Worth.
Oh, yes.
It's going really well. Yeah, with my colleague Eric Rosenblum.
Right.
Love that guy.
And where is that? Where is
the word
comedy?
love there. That is at downtown Lake Worth at a little outdoor kind of venue called Havana Hideout on Lake Avenue. Check it out.
That has really good fish tacos.
They have amazing fish tacos.
You will love them.
And that is every Monday at 8 p.m. Free comedy show, great fish tacos, Havana Hideout in Lake Worth, Florida.
A lot of fun. That's good.
So come check that out. We are putting together amazing shows every week there. We've gotten like really good comedians to come out.
Yeah, that's
it's
good, man.
Strong
That's
all the way
great.
through. So excited about that. I'm actually hosting the show now. We're switching off hosting duties and headlining duties. So I was headlining the last few weeks. Now I'm hosting. It's kind of
That's
fun.
good.
Eric's going to be headlining the next few weeks. So it's great. What else? Sex on Kava. Listen to that if you want to hear Newsgirl Maymay, who was the topic of this show. You can follow Sex on Kava on Instagram. You can look us up on Facebook. Also, you can listen to us at sexonkava.com or on iTunes or wherever.
Yeah, sounds good.
You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat at Ethan is not funny.
But he is.
I am funny, and I promise to. I will only send pictures of my genitalia on request.
On request.
You have to request them first, and just remember, God made that. Since this is Jesus Christ, that's funny. I can't believe I just said that.
I know. That was
It was over the line, right? Pastor, what about you? Where can people get pictures of your genitalia? No, I'm just kidding. Where can people locate you?
They can go online and see us at the Sanctuary Church, FTL. .org, and you can see all of the things that are going on we're actually getting ready to launch a new website, so it's going to be really exciting.
Is the new website going to be at the
same address, same everything? It's going to be really good, but we're going to have live video feed, and we're going to do a lot of the sermons and stuff that we do, teachings and things. So
you don't even have to come here. You can enjoy.
You can sit at home and watch.
Wow. Don't do that. Come here.
Don't come here.
Yeah,
you missed the band. The band's good.
Okay, you got to come here. But watch it again when you get home.
You got home.
There you go.
What did he say about that?
Get a review.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, and if you like this podcast, we want to keep bringing it to you. So the one way you can help us out is just tell a friend.
Right, tell a friend.
Tell a friend that you like the podcast and you want them to listen to it. Show them where to find it online. JesusChristThat'sFunny.podbean.com or on iTunes or wherever. And also, if you're on iTunes, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. Yeah, that'll really help us out. We want to have our podcast bumped up.
Right.
So that it's next to... We want to be the most spiritual of all the religion and spirituality.
It's really important
podcasts.
You guys do that, yeah.
Yeah, so do that.
Do it.
And free ticket to heaven.
That's
That's what the pastor told me. He said... Don't mention it, but I'm just going to say, if you want into heaven, there's one way, and that's to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It's the only way to heaven.
I think that's in Revelation somewhere.
It's in my Bible.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
We love you all.